I really wanted to start with, where you are, how you got there, and a little bit about the journey that got you to where you are now as Chief Operating Officer at HERS.
Okay, well, it's been quite a
Yeah.
journey, I would say. So I am actually a career switcher. I spent the first 10 years of my career as a geneticist working on environmental studies for marine organisms, salmon, killer whales, sea turtles.
Do you
that
have
kind
a
of thing.
favorite sea animal?
I don't know. They're all pretty great. I mean, I
Yeah.
spent so much time with salmon. I have a little soft spot for them. But yeah, it was a really, really fun job. I brag that I'm now the best two truths and a lie player ever because I
Ever.
got to do so many really outrageous things. But, after doing it for about a decade, I was having a really hard time feeling my impact. So in research, you study a lot of amazing things, but then you write up the papers and, then you go and do another research project. And I was like, well, wait, but what are we going to do about this thing? Because we identified that this is an issue, but that's not your job as a researcher. That's a policymaker's job. And so I realized that I just wasn't maybe cut out for that for the rest of my life. So at, 30 years old, tried to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. So took a whole bunch of classes and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a palate cleanser class and just, start fresh and, figure this out. I took accounting because
That is definitely a palate cleanser.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
the farthest thing I could think of from science because it was just a totally different thing and loved it.
Did you expect that you would love it?
No, I did not. I expected to, learn and think it'd be interesting, but I did not expect to love it as much as I did. When you follow cash through a business, you really start to understand it.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I should go to business school. Because looking back on it, I always tell everybody since then, do the thing that you were talking about with all of your friends. And our friends were always talking about what companies were getting started and who was doing something interesting and who was doing something that was maybe a little bit stupid.
And that piqued your interest when you were
it piqued my
talking.
interest, yeah. And so it sort of clicked that I should go to business school. And it was the spring before I was going to start in the fall. And a friend of mine was getting a company started in Seattle called Zulily, which was a flash sale site for kids wear.
Yeah.
And flash sale was just getting started back then. And so we were having to really figure out how to make that business work because retail with that kind of margin structure is really, really tricky. And the CEO at the time was like, why don't you come intern for me for the summer, get your feet wet, see
Which
if
would have
you
been
like
before
it.
you started.
Exactly.
Right.
And then in the fall, just go to business school and at least you'll have a little bit of experience. Well, I was super excited about that. So I was like, okay. So I was a 32-year-old intern making $8 an hour and making their studio operation more efficient. And, loved it so much that at the end of the summer, the CEO was like, how do I get you to not go to business school? And I remember being like, dude, I'm all in. And he's like, I don't know what you're going to do. We'll make you a project manager and we will figure this out. And there just aren't that many companies that are growing at that clip at that time, like Zulily was. And I even remember talking to the business school that I was going to, and they were like, no, you should stay there because this is a rare situation and you should stay there.
And then you eventually stayed.
I did stay. And so actually the first project that I was meant to work on, the CEO called me in his office and said, the business is breaking because of our operation. We're the only ones in this company that are going to be able to figure out how to do this because any third party we bring in is not going to understand our business enough to know what to do. And I remember being like, please remember, I have no idea what I am doing. I am a scientist.
Right.
I haven't been in business. I'm going to go back to my desk and Google warehouse because I've never been in one. And he was like, yeah, tell me what you need. Pull anything from the business. It's the highest priority. And we only have 8 weeks to get this up. People that have been in startups will understand this. You do not have all the time in the world to figure stuff out. You have to fix stuff and move. And not having any experience in that space, I didn't realize that that was a crazy timeline to do that on. So we picked a city, found a building, hired 400 people, got software systems in, the whole thing soup to nuts in 8 weeks. And actually, to this day, for a speed record, that is the shining achievement of my career. So after we did that one, we opened another one on the East Coast. And 6 months later, realized that what we had built not only got open, but it actually worked. And so that's how I learned operations, was by fire.
Yeah, a very big fire, and you were able to see that success with something that started really so innocently as an internship. And now, being at Hims and Hers, I think that that is a true testament to the ability for you to get something and build it really quickly even.
Yeah, well, it taught me a lot of things. Number one, you can go faster than anybody thinks that you can if you really apply yourself and you have the right team around you, and the team is motivated. And number two, that you have to trust yourself a little bit more. I was very scared to be opening up that warehouse. I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing, but I had to deal with that fear. And so through my career, I realized how valuable that was, to be able to handle those situations where you are very scared. And then after a while, you start to trust yourself more and more and more. And so now, like, the things that we're doing are very, very different in the world of healthcare. We're rethinking the way that it should be structured. And so I feel like my background sort of prepped me for that situation.
Stay tuned for more discussions like this with industry experts. And all in all, stay well, and we'll see you soon.